what I do in the book is I try to show some of the stories that happens to people. For the people of color who read those stories, they're gonna understand it immediately. For my white brothers and sisters who read the story, some of that stories they're gonna say, God, I saw that, but it didn't even ring a bell.
And I think that's in your last chapter. You wrote this book for two separate audiences, right? You just delineated that, right? So what are you dig a little deeper into that? What are you hoping that the disparate audiences will get? And then are there things in the book that you hope both audiences will equally conceive?
Yeah, well, you notice I said two audiences, really, a people of color audience and a white people audience. And let me tackle the people of color. Like I said, they're going to read the book. And for the ones that are not, that haven't bought into the fallacies of America, that's a great melting pot already, they will get it. Now, for my white brothers and sisters, this is the kind of stuff that I want to reach at. Right now, there's an anti-DEI movement, as if we don't need that. It's reverse racism, etc. Because many really don't see that racism and prejudice and lack of opportunity has taken a different form. And what I've shown, I think, in the book, with all the things that have happened with me in business, employment, and just existence, a lot of things that people won't see on the outside, they'll see, oh, I can see why that is needed. Let me give a perfect example. When I'm not going to give the NASA example right away, but let's just talk about me being in business. When I decided to go in business, I had a successful business. I just didn't have cash or capital. I went to the bank with a friend of mine. Both of us were going to apply for a small business loan. He got into the bank. And by the way, he's a good friend, but he was a coke addict. Okay. This white guy, and he went into the bank and they made him fill out paperwork, etc. It was easy for him to get the small business loan. I went into the bank. The guy said, you had any collateral? No. He said, don't even bother filling out the application. So right then and there, I formed my company on credit card debt, 18, 20, 25% interest rate. He formed his company on 6% interest rate. Somebody can say, well, you got the loan, he didn't, no big deal. But he got a privilege that I didn't. He could build his business on 6%. I built mine on 18 to 25% credit card debt, right? So what I try to explain in the book is that kind of stuff happens. And when we talk about DEI and the reason we have to have some sort of equity is when you see things like that happen, it actually affects your ultimate success, or your success is degraded, not based on your abilities, but your success is degraded based on your ethnicity, your complexion, who you are. At NASA, this one, another quick example. At NASA,
you worked at NASA.
Yes, I did.
What were you doing?
I was a senior programmer analyst and a senior research engineer. And interestingly, I told several of the stories in there relative to NASA, but the one that always got to me, and this one is people think it's simple, but it is inherent to how people are treated, right? I am at the place, and I have my cubicle. John Day has her cubicle at the window, and I never thought anything of it. But when she quit, I go into my boss's office and I said, hey, anybody had dibs on her office yet, which was at the window? And he said, and this was in Clear Lake, no. So I said, okay, I'm making the first dibs for that office. I want to move my office to her office now that she's gone. He turns around and he looks straight at me and he said, oh, I'm sorry, Egberto, that the window offices are relegated to seniors. Well, guess what?
Senior staffers.
Yes. Yeah. I was a senior, not knowing that I had the worst cubicle even as a senior, and the seniors there that were white had window seats and cubicles. And I didn't have a clue. So he just came out and blurted that out, and I smiled and I said, oh, I'm a senior. And he got red face and he stopped it. I don't. And I stopped him and I said, I don't know what you're gonna do. And I walked out of his office. I went to my briefcase, picked it up, walked out of the building in Clear Lake, jumped in my car, and started off. I lived in Houston. I worked in Clear Lake, drove home. By the time I got home, a call came in to let my wife know, and my wife thought something was hell of a wrong, to let me know that, oh, by the way, it's yours. But the issue is, why do I have to go through things like this? Right. Those types of things are a constancy, but it's a constancy in the lives of POCs right now. And even, look, there are good people out there that do the right thing, but too many of us are faced with the right thing not being done. And in that process, most people just acquiesce to it. They're quiet about it. It's something that I was never quiet about. I would do things at the risk of losing my job, including there was a time when all the Black and Latino folks would meet up at my cubicle, and we'll be shooting the bull and all that kind of stuff. We had Africans, we had Latinos from just about every country. We'll just talk, and we'll have these types of conversations, you know. And I remember my boss coming down to the aisle, and he had his cigar. What the hell are you running here, Egberto? The damn NAACP? You know, it is the things that you have to go through in these systems, and nobody talks about it because, well, you talk about it, you know, what's going to happen. I was one of those crazies that I think I was too crazy. For the 5 years I worked in corporate America, I think I was a bit too crazy to get fired because they didn't know what it meant. You know, they really didn't know what it meant.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.